and welcome to my Blu-ray collection for 2025. I'm doing this as a stream, if you guys wondering. So yeah, I'm doing this as a stream. Let's see if people will come. A while, and then after making this, I'll be going to sleep. I'll be going to sleep. I have a fun time, doing my live stream of All 108 Friends episode 4. And I recently binging Instagram. And yes, guys, I do have Instagram. I've been talking with my Instagram friends recently. And yes, I did post some random stuff at Instagram. If you guys are wondering. By the way, how's it going? Ready to watch my Blu-ray collection for 2025? You guys are ready. Hope you'll... Are you going to chat, guys? My Instagram page is on my Instagram name is Alejandro Epic 06. And I do have Instagram myself. And yes, my Instagram page is on my channel on the description, which is on the links. If you guys are interested. And yes, guys, I do have Twitter, by the way. I do have Twitter. Even though I don't use Twitter that much as I used to, but I'm more into Instagram. That's cool. And by the way, I did post some reels like my holidays and Nickelodeon and Warner Bros. Last weekend. And yes, tomorrow, guys, here's some news. Tomorrow, guys, I'm going to Aventura. That's right, guys. Tomorrow, I'm going to Aventura for 3 days. It's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna have a fantastic 30th anniversary celebration for Aventura. Hi, Muhammad. I get to show my Blu-ray collection. Because I want to see even more YouTubers going to my stream for my Blu-ray collection. And here's my Blu-ray collection. If you're interested, I have a lot of Blu-rays. All the Blu-rays I have right there. All the Blu-rays I have right there are from the recent movies that I saw in theaters. Well, these two I watch at home because they skipped cinemas and went to Disney Plus instead. So anyways, let's begin the Blu-ray collection. Let's start with the Disney and Pixar movies. Here's the 2019 Blu-ray of Rob Breaks the Internet. Here's the front. It says classic number 59, which in reality, Rob Breaks the Internet is Disney's 57th animated film. Hilarious entertainment and magic, says Jenny Sobero Cinemania. A lot of people don't like this movie now because apparently people seem to like this movie when it first came out in 2018, but later on they changed their mind and now don't like this movie. Which I understand. But for me, this film was good, but I prefer the first movie the most. Next up is the 2020 Blu-ray of Frozen 2, which I got this back in May 2020 when stores are reopening. When I get back to Alcoy, this is back at the time when I was in lockdown. when I was in my quarantine, aka lockdown in my area. Ah, that was a terrible time. 2020 was the worst year ever, by the way. This is the 60th animated classic, but in reality, this is the 58th animated classic. Frozen 2, to be honest, guys, this movie is way better than Robberies the Internet. I think this movie, Frozen 2 right there, is even better than the first movie. I really love the sequel. And I cannot believe that one infamous YouTuber named Trolls Banter Adventures One thread this movie like it's worse than Hitler in his rant, which I hate that rant, by the way. This rant was just as cringe as his Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse rant, which I fucking hate that rant with a burning passion. And by the way, Trolls Banter fans needs to stop threatening this movie like it's worse than Hitler. Like it's just a movie, no need to go ape shit about it. Here's an ad for Disney Plus, which by the way, this was back when Disney Plus was brand new. And this was back when Disney channels were still alive. Rest in peace to Disney Channel in my area, by the way, you'll be missed. Here's the 2021 Blu-ray of Raya and the Last Dragon, which is Disney's 59th animated classic. I did see this in theaters. As a matter of fact, these two I did see in theaters, by the way, as well. This I saw in theaters on March 6th. As much as I like Raya and the Last Dragon, to be honest, guys, I prefer the next film that follow up this movie, which I'm going to show you later on. Now, this is a great, amazing movie. Encanto. This is a great film, by the way. I really love this movie. I like this movie 1,000 times better than Ryan. Don't get me wrong, I like this movie right there, but this movie is a lot better. And I did remember to see this movie in theaters on opening weekend back in November 27, 2021. By the way, this was actually the very first Disney animated canon classic that I saw on opening weekend. I love that song, by the way. Experiment, the magic of the film, and the sing-along. It comes with the theatrical short film that played before the movie, Far From the Tree. As a matter of fact, this movie comes with the theatrical short that played before the movie Us Again. By the way, we hope that Disney or Pixar, Walt Disney Animation Studios or Pixar will bring back doing short films before their movies. I really missed that, by the way. Here's the disc with Mirabel Madrigal and the Casa Madrigal. I heard there are plans for a sequel in Encanto, but to be honest, I think Encanto 2 is unnecessary. I think we should get an Encanto TV show instead. Next up is Disney's most controversial movie of the decade, Strange World. I did remember seeing this movie in theaters back in December 16th on the opening day of Avatar: The Way of Water with my grandpa, and I thought it was decent. It's not as good as this masterpiece, modern Disney masterpiece. By the way, this was actually the final great Disney movie. By the way, Encanto. But this movie is pretty much the beginning of Disney's downfall because, yeah, you know what I mean. Really hope Zootopia 2 will be the comeback of the Disney animated classics after this Wish and Moana 2. We have Strange World on Blu-ray. From the studio of Encanto, Big Hero 6, which they're much better than this movie, by the way. We have the disc with Splat and Pal. I think it's his name. No, scratch that. Let me do this again. Here's the disc with Splat and Legend. Now, into the Pixar movies. Let's get into Pixar. We have the 2018 Blu-ray of Incredibles 2. I did receive this movie in theaters back in August 15th, 2018. And the next week, on August 23rd, I finally saw How to Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation on in theaters. It comes with the theatrical short film Bao, which, by the way, this was actually the final Pixar theatrical short film, by the way, that played in front of the movie. Fingers crossed they'll come back making Pixar short films with beginning with Hoppers. That'll be awesome. Here's the disc. By the way, this was actually the final time Disney did that artwork like that in a Blu-ray for the Disney film. Which will look like this, like that. Next up is the 2019 Blu-ray of the unnecessary movie that many people didn't want it because the third of it was a great finish. Yeah, I talk about this movie right there, which, you know what I mean. I did remember seeing this movie in theaters back in June 21st on opening day, on the first day, on the day when it came out, back in, yeah. I saw it with my little cousin, my aunt, yeah, and my mom. We have a great time. Excellent, big, giant, ingenious, and marvelous, says Ulti Rogers Machete ABC. We have the blue disc. Yeah, by the way, to be honest, this should have ended the series after this movie. Toy Story 5, we do not even need a Toy Story 5. By the way, I'm gonna skip on Toy Story 5 and see Minions 3 instead. Even though Minions 3 is unnecessary because Wild Knuckles died, but don't get me wrong, I love Minions The Rise of Gru. I love that film. Minions The Rise of Gru, that is an awesome movie, Minions The Rise of Gru, but let's see if Minions 3 goes. I hope the trailer is at least decent. Here's Onward. Finally, original Pixar projects. We have Onward, the film I was so close not to go see in theaters. By the way, I was really going to see this movie in theaters on opening weekend, but due to some other plans, I decided to go see it instead of March 13th, 2020. But unfortunately, guys, I didn't see it in theaters because theaters got closed due to the pandemic. And I was so sad during the lockdown that I didn't get to see Onward. But thankfully I saw it in theaters during the summer. Onward, great film, very underrated. Next up is my personal favorite Pixar film of the decade next to the latest two that came out this year and last year, which I know what they are. Soul. I did remember watching this movie on opening day back in Christmas Day on Watch Cartoon Online, and I loved it. But it would be nice if I saw this in theaters when it came out. If COVID-19 pandemic never happened, I'll be more than happy to go see this in theaters. August 7th or August 8th. If the pandemic never happened, on twice I will go see Soul and Minions The Rise of Gru in theaters. And even I will go see Christmas Raya and the Last Dragon. If the pandemic never happened, you know what I'll do? In summer, I will go see this movie and I will go see this movie and Minions The Rise of Gru. And I will go to the theme park in Madrid again. To Nickelodeon in that year, along with Warner Bros. And Portaventura. So yeah. Your Soul, amazing movie. By the way, this is actually one of the only Disney Plus movies I have on Blu-ray next film after Soul. We have Luca, which I gotta say, that is a really wonderful movie from Pixar. That is a wonderful, great film, which is Luca. And I do know my YouTube friend Magical Clemps loves this movie. And his favorite character in this movie right there is El Call, the character right there. By the way, this is actually the film that inspired the animation, this kind of animation for Turning Red, Win or Lose, or Elio, which I don't get why people don't care for that kind of animation, and they just get rage over that animation. I don't get it, but I don't care what anyone says. By the way, the director Enrico Casarosa is gonna be the director of Pixar's next film in 2 years, which I'll be seeing that in theaters, which is Gato, which that looks wonderful, by the way, Gato. And an adventure of friendship with lots of fun at the Riviera Italiana. And by the way, this film took place in the 50s, by the way. This one takes place in the 50s. Here's the disc with Luca, Alberto, and Giulia. By the way, Giulia is my personal favorite character in Luca. Sadly, guys, I don't have Turning Red, but I will get Turning Red very soon on Blu-ray. That's actually a film I want to get on Blu-ray collection. Turning Red on Blu-ray. That's a good movie. But I prefer Luca. But I prefer Elio way better than Turning Red because they're both obviously director. I prefer Elio a lot better. Here's Pixar's most controversial movie of all time, which many people didn't like the film at all. Lightyear. For the story, the brand new Toy Story, I didn't really see this movie in theaters when it first came out on June 17th on opening day, and at the time I really loved it, but ever since then I found this film to be mid. I prefer the next film that follow up this movie alongside the other one, which I will show you that in a while. By the way, I do have some Lightyear merchandise just for fun, like a Sots plushie. And yes, Sots is one of the rare good characters in it. I love Sots. Here's a quick review by Top Power Tech Radar. So I got a message from Instagram by the Top Gun Maverick Fan 2010 group chat. And yes, I do follow that YouTuber, by the way. Here's the disc with Lightyear, Buzz Lightyear, and Sots. Next up, these two movies right there are the movies that there was a time when Pixar began redeeming themselves. Here's a very wonderful gem, Elemental. This movie right there was really wonderful. I really love watching. So I got a message from the movie fan, one of my YouTube followers on Instagram. This movie right there is an outstanding, wonderful, great classic, modern classic movie. I really enjoyed this movie. I did remember seeing this movie in theaters back in July 2023. And I saw it in theaters. This one I saw it in theaters again with my mom back in July 20th. My mom kind of liked it, but she preferred Means to Rise Group better, which I don't blame my mom, by the way. And by the way, it comes with the short that played before the movie, Carl's Day, which was actually a tribute to Ed Asner. And by the way, this was actually his final show before the actor who played Carl passed away. Here's the disc with Amber and Wade. This is actually from the poster. And last but not least, from the Pixar collection, my personal favorite Pixar film of the decade next to Elio and Elemental and Soul. This outstanding sequel, Inside Out 2. Here's the regular Blu-ray. I did remember seeing this movie in theaters a couple times back in August and September 2024. And I saw the re-release of Inside too back in November. And this movie is a fantastic movie. The return of the best Pixar, says Jesus Cicero Actually magazine. And here's the steelbook portion. Here's the steelbook portion. Here's the steelbook portion, by the way. Here's the disc, which features Joy's orb with Riley, Bree, and Grace celebrating when they won the hockey. And yes, I love hockey. Hockey's a great sport. Let me put the Blu-rays when the place where they came from. All right. Alrighty, there they are. I had to go to bed in a couple minutes, by the way, after making this stream. Now here's my Universal and the non-Disney collection, Blu-ray collection. Here's How to Train Your Dragon. This is now we're getting to the DreamWorks ones. Let's get into DreamWorks. Here's the 2019 Blu-ray How to Dragon 3 The Hidden World. I did remember this movie in theaters back in opening weekend, and this movie right there was a fantastic finish to the How to Dragon trilogy. I love this movie. I know the final Moss Media 20 said it was the weakest out of the trilogy, but to me, I really love this movie. This was a great finish to the franchise. Here's the disc. Here's my ticket. Here's my ticket when I went to go see the movie. And here's an app for the How to Dragon app, which that app is no longer available. That game is no longer available, by the way. Here's the 2019 movie, the 2020 Blu-ray of a very awesome DreamWorks movie, Abominable. It comes with 2 shorts. Abominable was a really great film. I saw this in theaters back in November 2019. I saw it very late, by the way, because of the Addams Family coming out in Farmageddon. This is a great film, by the way, Abominable. I saw this in theaters back in 2000 November. Great film. I don't know which I like more. This or Smallfoot. I like Abominable the most and Smallfoot. Not gonna say anything, by the way. Now, this movie is amazing, by the way, I'm gonna show. This movie is an outstanding masterpiece. This is when my love for cinemas increased. This outstanding movie, and I'm very excited for the sequel this Friday. The Bad Guys. I saw this in theaters a lot of times back in the day, back in 2020. It was a fantastic movie, by the way. Here's the Blu-ray. Here's the back. Here's the disc with the Bad Guys. Here's one of my personal favorites, Puss in Boots: The Lost Wish. I love this, by the way. I saw this in theaters back in early 2023. Here's Keys Up Pause. Keys Up Pause is awesome, by the way. Here's Combat at 4, the weakest in the trilogy, by the way. The weakest in the Kung Fu Panda series, by the way, but still good. I saw this in theaters on opening day, by the way. And a few times in theaters as well, back in March and April. Here's the disc with Poe. Next up is my all-time favorite movie, The Wire Robot. I gotta say, this movie is phenomenal. This movie was just amazing. Easy, the best movie of all time, and the best DreamWorks movie, and the best Universal movie of all time in general, by the way. I love this movie, by the way. I saw this in theaters on opening day, and even a lot of times, especially during Christmas. The best movie of the year, says Philly Angel Cinemania, which I honestly agree. Here's the Illumination movies. We have The Grinch 2018. I did remember see this movie in theaters back in January 4, 2019. Here's Psychopaths 2. Not as good as the first movie, but it's enjoyable. I did remember see this movie in theaters, by the way. And I remember having the merchandise of Psychopaths 2 back in the day. Well, some. Now here's the movie that increased my interest in going to the theaters. This amazing sequel. And this is the movie that began my interest to the modern era of Illumination. Sing 2. This is a fantastic sequel. Here's Johnny. I did remember this movie in theaters a lot of times, by the way. Here's the disc with Ash. Here's one of my my personal favorite 2020's Illumination movies, Mr. As It Grew. I did remember seeing this movie in theaters during the summer. This movie was the bomb back in summer 2022, by the way. Brings back memories. Next up, we have one of my all-time favorite movies of the decade for Illumination, the Super Mario Bros. Movie. That is a fantastic movie right there and showing right now. Here's the disc with Luigi. And here's an app for Mario games. I have all these games, by the way. Sorry. Next up, we have Migration, which that is a great film. Very underrated, really great film. Here's the blue with all the Mallard ducks. We have Despicable Me 4. One of the few underrated gems I enjoy from movies. This movie is underrated. I didn't really see this movie in theaters on opening day, by the way, and I saw it again on July 6th. This one I saw it in theaters as well, a lot of times during late 2023 to early 2024. And this one I did remember seeing in theaters a lot of times, especially on opening day. Now here's my Warner Bros. Blu-rays. Remember this movie, by the way, I'm gonna show? Here's Smallfoot. Here's Smallfoot, which that is a great film. I didn't remember see this movie in theaters with my cousin and my aunt and my mom, and we really enjoyed it. As a matter of fact, guys, besides the disc, we had the digital copy code, which it got expired back in March 2020. Here's the Lego Movie 2. I got this with How to Dragon in the Hidden World back in July 2019. Here's the disc with Wild Style. And here's my ticket when I went to go see the movie. And here's here's an app for Lego Movie video game. Here's my Sony Pictures Blu-rays. Here's Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation. As a matter of fact, this was the very first movie I ever got on Blu-ray. I didn't remember seeing this movie in theaters. And yes, I did remember seeing this movie in theaters back in opening weekend, by the way, Lego Movie 2. And this one I did remember seeing in theaters back in August 23rd, 2018. By the way, I remember the time when I went to go see a movie, there was advertisements for Teen Titans Go to the movies, and I was frustrated because I hated Teen Titans Go back in the time. Still to this day, by the way. Here's The Angry Birds Movie 2, which comes with a short film. I think it played in front, I think it's Harold Lob. And I didn't remember seeing this movie in theaters, by the way. Back in September 2019, I saw it very late. By the way, I will get Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse when Spider-Man Across and Beyond the Spider-Verse come out on Blu-ray in 2027. And last but not least, this is the only Blu-ray I have from 20th Century Studios. Spies in Disguise, the final Blue Sky film ever made before it shut down. And I did remember seeing this movie in theaters back in January 25th, 2020. This was the final film I saw in theaters before the pandemic. Thanks for watching my Blu-ray collection, and I will do more videos later on today. Bye guys, have a great day.